And now Jack Antonio, that's me, brings down from the lofty throne another hallowed guest right here on the Interview Pedestal. You gotta listen.
All right, folks, you are in for a treat, as I always say here on Do You Know Jack radio show, because I have got the one and only guitar evil genius Mark Tremonti. I got to get your name right, man. That was brutal. That was a botch. But I got Mark Tremonti on the line. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Matt?
Well, I'm up here freezing my, whatever you want to call it, off here in northern Canada, and here you are just sunning yourself in 65 degrees down in Florida. So, maybe I'm a little bit jealous. That's how I am at the moment.
This is the time of year to be in Florida for sure. Can't beat it.
Yeah. Well, now listen. Weather aside, you have had a very busy 2016 releasing a solo record, and then, of course, the new Alter Bridge, The Last Hero, coming out on October 7th. But I get the impression just by doing a little bit of homework that, in this day and age with the business, this is kind of what you got to do. You just got to keep plugging away. Yeah,
if you want to keep two bands going, you got to work twice as hard. So I love doing both, and they feed different parts of my creative side, so I want to continue doing it. But yeah, this year was really tough. It was a lot of balancing schedules and working hard. So it's hopefully 2017 is a little easier.
Yeah, for sure. Well, now with Myles' schedule with Slash maybe being a little lighter, maybe this, the whole scheduling is a little bit easier. But I mean, do you guys kind of have to work things years in advance just so the planets align?
Yeah, I mean, I think we work a good 18 months in advance. Just having when a record comes out, we want to schedule 3-4 months to record, produce, and then tour on it for over a year after it comes out. So we'll be touring all through 17 on it, and we're scheduled already through next summer.
Now, don't get me wrong, because I mean, I do believe still in the albums, but I mean, that would almost make me old school by any comparison, because with a lot of newer acts coming up now, it's a little bit more en vogue to release a single here or a single there. So I guess you would believe in albums too, but I mean, why not do it the quote unquote new school way by just leaking a single here and there, Mark?
My brother Dan felt the same way. He started the record label that does my solo band, and he was trying to convince me to release a song a month and then put out the whole record at the end of it. And
yeah.
He said he would draw up more traffic to the website and this and that. But the biggest problem with doing it that way is you come out with the first song and everybody kind of judges you that the whole album or your whole artistic vision is that song. And doing this for so many years, you put together a dynamic package that tells a lot of different stories, and then it's hard to put everything you got into one song. And on top of that, it's hard to get the worldwide press to embrace one song. If you put out an album, you've got people reviewing your entire album, but I don't think you could do that month after month doing one song at a time.
Yeah. Well, now the first single off of The Last Hero was "Show Me a Leader," and I know there's been a lot of talk about the quote unquote political nature of it. So I'm almost wondering if that would have been your first single, if people all of a sudden would have picked up that it was a political record. When I get the impression that is definitely not the case. Just going through a lot of the other tracks. Yeah,
exactly. It's just one of many songs that we worked on, and I think we'll always be. I know I will always be more drawn to do at least an EP. If you're going to put out a small amount of songs, do at least 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And if you're crunched for time, that might be a good answer. But I like to always put out a variety of songs.
Yeah. Now I know, like, selecting the single is a completely different ballgame than anything else. And Show Me a Leader, the first single, that might not necessarily be your quote unquote favorite track. So just scanning through some of these ones on The Last Hero, was there any one track that you really enjoyed working on for this one?
Yeah, I think This Side of Fate's probably my favorite track on the album. It's just got that special thing that makes you want to, after you've written it, makes you want to listen to it over and over. And then we still haven't performed it live, but we'll be doing that in January. But it's definitely one of the band's favorites.
What was it about the song specifically? Is it the riff, or Myles' vocal line, or? I
think the dynamics within the song. I think what me and Myles both brought to the table had such different feels going on. Like I kind of brought the verse and chorus to the song. Myles brought the big bridge sections, and I think it just created the perfect storm.
You guys usually, when you're writing, you get together on acoustic guitars, which, you know, what I've found is, you know, when a band plays something acoustically, you know, compared to electric, it brings different aspects of the song out, you know. So, I mean, I guess, you know, how do you guys work your process into translating that into, you know, the electric stuff?
Well, the parts have already been written, you know, and I write a lot on either electric or acoustic, but when I get together with Myles, I've got my ideas recorded, and I'll break out an acoustic guitar just to play them for him. But they were written a lot of times on an electric, so it's just easy to sit around a table going over ideas with an acoustic guitar on your computer. But, you know, in this, as I get better at making demos, I'll just make the demo good enough so I don't have to play him the idea, just hear it.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask him, you got anything to go with it? Me and Myles, we write parts. We don't write, when we're sitting by ourselves, we don't try to compose complete songs because it's kind of disrespectful to the other songwriter in the band to say, here's a song I wrote. Sing it. And he doesn't come to me and say, here's a song I wrote, play guitar on it. We say, here's a section I wrote, you have a part that goes with it.
Are you guys emailing things to each other as well throughout the process?
Most of the time I'll just do phone, you know, little phone audio clips.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's definitely one aspect of how things have changed is, you know, you can literally contact a person anywhere in the world or, you know, send song content to a person anywhere in the world, whereas, you know, back in the day, you would have had to have been in the same room, you know, the entire process. Yeah, I
mean, you can sit on Skype, you can, there's programs where you can kind of have a little studio set up where you can all be kind of on a little Pro Tools type rig together and jam as a whole band, all in different states. It's a little over my head. I'm not a good techie guy. I'd rather just sit on Skype and envision how it would sound as a whole band. But I think you can get some of the work done before you get together as a band quickly that way. But you got to have the whole band together to really feel how the song's going to come together as far as the arrangements go.
I noticed you brought in Michael Elvis Basquet again to work with you. I would imagine then, you know, I mean, it's got to be an obvious answer, but I mean, there's got to be a comfort zone that you have working with him, is there?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he becomes a fifth member of the band. You know, me and Myles will get together and put together the meat and potatoes of each song, and then we'll bring it in. Then Elvis becomes a fifth voice in the band as far as a filter as to which ideas everybody wants to work on and how those ideas should be arranged. We become a big arrangement machine when we all get together. And, I think that's what makes the team work. And this time especially, we captured a lot of lightning in the bottle on this record. We didn't sit with the songs for long. Me and Myles would literally sit and put the songs together the night before and come in, and we'd capture what we were going to record the next day on a Pro Tools rig in pre-production. So it was all very fresh. We didn't, like on Blackbird, we spent a year playing these songs over and over before we recorded it. This album was all the night before, you know, so it kept it very fresh.
How much do the songs evolve in session given that time frame?
You know, we just drill them over and over and over again. So sometimes we'll get into a song and a few hours into it, we're like, you know what, it's not doing anything for me. Let's move on to the next song. Maybe come back to it and replace some parts. But if we're into a song and it's going well, flowing well, sometimes we'll just sit in there for 12 hours until it's done. And it's not done, just the arrangement is done. We know what the verse musically and the chorus and the bridge and the intros and the arrangement is going to be. And then after we have that arrangement, we've got we've got enough so Scott can go and record his drums, and we'll tempo map the song, but then we have to go write our parts, write our guitar solos, write our lyrics, all that stuff. So it's just the first step.
What's the hardest part of recording for you personally, Mark?
I think organizing all the guitar solos is it's the most time consuming. I mean, writing is fun for me. I love to write. I write all the time. Piecing the songs together is a fun process. But when it comes down to, okay, we have the record outline. We're recording 14 songs. I've got 11 guitar solos to do. That's when it takes all night, every night until you're done with the record to make sure that they work.
Are you a person that's, a lot of the guitar solos are sort of more off the cuff and improvised, or are they sort of meticulously planned out?
No, I mean, we do a lot of alternate tunings within the band, so you can't really improvise too well on an alternate tuning. So I've got to compose most of the solos. And even in standard tuning, I'll compose a solo and then I'll go into the studio and I'll have a backup plan in case magic just doesn't happen in there. And a lot of times these solos are fresh, so I don't have them down very well, so I'll stumble. And when you stumble, sometimes you fall into a great improv part that becomes part of the solo that's your favorite part. So you never know.
Did I hear somewhere that you used a 7-string in this album, maybe for the first time? It's something maybe that you had been looking at doing for a little while and finally got around to it?
Yeah, I had a 7-string years and years and years ago, and it just was never my thing. I picked it up and I wasn't inspired. And then when this record came along, I got on the phone with Myles. I'm like, what are we going to do different? Every record we got to do something different. So I was like, I'm going to use a 7-string on the record. Just going to get it done. So the first single, Show Me a Leader, is a 7-string.
Nice.
Then we had 3 or 4 new tunings on the record that we've never used before, and that's always an easy answer to how to make this record sound a little different. It's just dive into a new guitar tuning. You'll have new chord voicings. You'll have just a new sound. I've always each record that goes by, we never do it, but Myles has this friend named Alessandro who used to program a lot of stuff or go on tour with Trent Reznor and do some of his industrial kind of loops and stuff. I wanted to experiment with that on 1 or 2 tracks on a couple of records, but we just never get around to it. So that's one thing in the future that I want to look into. We're definitely not any kind of industrial type of band, but I just think a few loops here and there would be pretty cool.
Given your recent comments on backing tracks, I find that a little interesting. Yeah,
not as a backing track, as in like a guitar part or a bass or a drum or a vocal, but something that's a guitar, like an intro or a transition into another part. Something that's obviously not a live performed thing.
Yeah. Actually, I found, I saw Kiss back in July and they did Beth, and I almost found myself wishing that, bare minimum, they would have had the, the orchestral stuff going on, and they didn't. But I mean, I totally get what you're talking about in terms of, modern day and, extra guitar part, backing tracks and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I just, I didn't mean for that comment to go as viral as it has. I kept off social media for this entire European tour, and I came home and I got back on, and it seems like that's all that anybody's talking about is this backing track nonsense. It's funny, you do an interview and you say something for 30 seconds and people think you're this big advocate for no backing track. that's just how I was feeling that moment when I was half asleep waking up, saying, I don't want to see a band use backing tracks. I could really care less, but I'd rather see a band, just do it for real. But now I'm the poster boy for no backing track.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's probably, that quote's probably been shared on the big 4 of metal news sites, and it's been all over the place. I mean, it only takes one of those sites to pick it up, and then it's everywhere.
Oh yeah. That's happened to me many a time.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that, your sort of debut to the music world, Creed's My Own Prison, turns 20 years old as of August 20th of, I think it's August 26th of this year. Time has gone by for you guys.
It has. I'm an old bastard now.
Now, I know, I think, there was a bit of a Creed, quote unquote reunion a few years ago for the 15th. So I'm sure you've been, through the whole ringer in terms of press. But I mean, is there any one thing that, stands out for you now, 20 years later, about My Own Prison, Mark?
It was just a special record for us. We were, when I listened to that record, I haven't listened to it for a while, but when we went on that tour and performed the whole record from front to back, it feels like you were a kid, when you put that together, and and just realize, it makes you realize how hard you've worked since then to develop as a musician, because it was so simple. But I wouldn't change a thing about it, because I just love the simplicity of it, and I love how it turned out. And the production is so raw. There was nothing squeaky clean about it at all. It was, I think we did it for a few thousand, like $5,000 or something. We recorded that album.
Wow.
So it was a special moment for us as college kids. I'm glad we captured that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sound of the band evolved to, something more, quote unquote, stadium orientated with the next one. So, I mean, it was a little bit more slick compared to the, rugged nature of Creed. But I mean, I guess when your popularity leaps monumentally, I mean, do you have to kind of switch to a sound like that? I mean, this is always a curiosity that I've had, because there's always a marked difference, when a band puts out a first record compared to the second. Like it's a little bit more, large venue orientated a lot of the times with the second one.
Well, the big difference is on our first record, we were working in kitchens and saving up $30 an hour for recording sessions with John Kirschweg, and we would every few weeks or so, we'd go in there and put in our time and record these songs on a tiny budget. And John didn't really know, I think he appreciated what we were doing and liked the songs, but he didn't think we were that record was going to sell multi-platinum and all that stuff. So he just recorded it as a job, and he was a great producer and just kind of let us do our thing and recorded the best he could. But he didn't plan on having these on radio stations across the country. So when it came down to the next record, we used John again, but this time he had a budget. He had a record label looking at him. He had more pressure and spent more time on tracking and mixing. So it was definitely more polished.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, it's been amazing chatting with you about Alter Bridge. The Last Hero, again, as I mentioned, released October 7th of 2016, and lots of great plans moving forward for the band in terms of touring. So it's like I said, it's been awesome just talking with you today, Mark.
Well, thanks. Nice talking to you. And hopefully see you in Northern Canada soon.